So we had several discussions earlier in the day, which very much are good lead-ins to your presentation, Muffi, because we had a panel on fleet operations, and we had a panel on batteries, and a panel on the case paradigm and where we are with that. And now we have you talking about a very specific and concrete example, the application of software for electric fleets. And I will let you take it from there. I'm not going to try to describe in any more detail other than to give that kind of prologue. So,
It's
Muffi?
awesome. Thank you so much, Howard, and hi, everybody. Muffi Ghadiali, I'm the co-founder and CEO at Electriphi. At Electriphi, we are building software solutions that help the transition and operations of electric vehicle fleets. Um, Before I get into specifically what we do, just a quick overview of the team. We bring a pretty deep domain expertise. So prior to Electrify, I was at ChargePoint, managing the DC fast charging infrastructure, everything from 25 kilowatts to 300-400 kilowatts. We over the past couple of years, we've assembled a team that really spans heavy duty electric vehicles, fleets, mobility, and enterprise software. And we are in the middle of our Series A financing round as we speak. Just to step back, if you look at what's happening, we are in the midst of the biggest energy transition in history. This is fairly obvious. And as these fleets are electrifying, as these vehicles are showing up, infrastructure is showing up, they're running into some really interesting problems as it relates to the energy transition. So the fleets that we work with, both in the private and public segment, have been used to fueling oil or diesel, and suddenly they have to deal with electricity where the rates keep changing, how much you charge, how fast you charge, when you charge can have a significant impact, and sometimes the cost of electricity is more than diesel. The solution that we have is software that connects into the enterprise, so all of the fleet operations. So we look at when the vehicles are coming in, when they're leaving, we look at energy rates, and we directly control every charging station. So we've got a control over each station in the depot. And what results with that is that we offer three main value propositions to our customers. One is to ensure that every vehicle is charged and ready, so seamless operations as they transition to electric vehicles. Two, we can save them significantly in energy cost, 60% or more, simply by peak shaving and by reducing demand charges and other overages. And then the third one, which is the most interesting, is that we can help our customers charge more vehicles with the same infrastructure. So what's happening with as these fleets are electrifying is that the energy that's served into the depot is bottlenecked by the transformer. And one of the things that we can do purely by using software is to help them add more infrastructure, add more vehicles without getting the transformer upgrade. So this is our immediate value proposition, but there's something much bigger happening here. So we sit at the intersection of two massive industry segments. One is mobility and transportation, and the other is energy and utilities. When we talk to fleet customers, they know how to operate fleets at scale. They run millions of miles a year, and they monitor the cost per mile on a cent or less than a cent basis. And now they're thrust into this world where suddenly the energy source has changed, and so now they have to worry about when the vehicle is charged, how much is charged, how fast is charged. And if that's not managed, then you can have two big impacts on cost as well as on operations. On the other side, we work with utilities, and these folks really understand energy generation, distribution, rate design, demand response. However, they have very little insights into fleets. And so they see this as a huge opportunity, but also as a huge challenge. So what they're trying to understand is, when will this load show up on the grid? How much load will it be? And most importantly, where on the grid will it show up? And the platform that we are building essentially ties these two disparate industries together using data, analytics, and insights. Our product is essentially a SaaS product. So we deliver a high scalable, low friction model. We charge a per monthly fee, which is billed annually. So anything between $1,200 to $2,000 a year. And what this helps us is we can establish a pretty strong connection with the customer with a very, very low friction model. So we go in helping customers out by tying into their fleet systems, tying into infrastructure, tying into their energy utility. And that really is a nice Trojan horse for us for us to build a whole menu of services. So we're now offering services in telematics, in maintenance, insights, reporting, and more. But the intent here is to use energy management as a toehold into building a bigger, significant model with our fleet customers. In terms of our engine for growth, right now, most of our sales are direct to fleets. So we sell across public and private fleets. We have municipalities, transit fleets, delivery fleets, school bus fleets across the nation and internationally. Some of our customers are the largest transit agencies in the US, and one of our deployments is the largest electric school bus deployment in the US in Sacramento, California. So that's our current focus right now. But as we scale the company, we are beginning to leverage channel partnerships and turnkey solutions. So on the channel partnership side, we've got a significant amount of partnerships across all of the vehicle infrastructure, vehicle manufacturers, as well as OEMs. And primarily what we do is bundle our solutions with vehicles or charging stations, depending on how the customers want to buy our solution. The third piece of our strategy in terms of go-to-market is partnerships with some of the new project financing entities. And what they are doing is packaging the entire service as a fleet as a service, where they are selling a per mile service, or charging as a service, where they are offering the customer a per kilowatt hour service. And so what these entities are doing is essentially packaging vehicles, infrastructure, energy, software, operations and maintenance into one turnkey solution. And our software is used to enable that model. The key thing here is across all of these models, software is a common theme, and we are meeting our customers where it makes most sense. I'll quickly wrap up in terms of why Electrify. So again, the team, we come with deep domain expertise and simply a track record of actually delivering. The timing, as is very obvious now, is very clear now. Vehicles are here, charging stations are here, regulatory mandates, and the ROI is actually beginning to make sense. We've got traction as well. Deployed customers, our model is validated, and the engine is beginning to take off with a solid pipeline. And then finally, we've got a significant head start on technology. So we've got an operational product that's been deployed for close to 2 years now. We are now building a solid moat of data, which is giving us a head start also in building out our ML and AI platforms. And we are also now beginning to see the network effect as we get more fleets, more data, which also fuels more insights. And just to round up the presentation, we are in the midst of our Series A financing. We just signed a term sheet earlier, rather last week, and now in the process of pulling the syndicate together. So with that, I'll just pause. Happy to take any questions or happy to chat offline if needed. Thank you.
Hey, Muffi, this is Sebastian. Thanks for the presentation. I have a twofold question. One, given your ChargePoint background, you said that you're software only. How do you handle if maybe the hardware is locking you out? And the second question is, you want to charge a monthly service. Do you see a pathway forward monetizing the asset that you get access to offer the service maybe at no cost, or maybe even sharing a profit down the road?
Yeah, so I'll thank you for the question, Sebastian. So the first question is how, why aren't customer picking hardware vendor solutions? There's two reasons. One, just going back from my ChargePoint days, is no vendor today has a solution that actually is designed from the ground up for fleets. And as you can see, there's a lot of nuance when you're looking at fleet operations. So for example, we tie into every fleet's routing system, scheduling system, dispatch management, vehicles, infrastructure, and also the energy. So we built a system that's designed really for fleets. So one of the things that we don't do is consumer charging. And the other way we differentiate against OEM solutions is that we are cross-platform. So we work across all of the major OEMs, ABB, Siemens, Tritium, PTC, Proterra, Rhombus there. So we have the most number of integrations with infrastructure OEMs than anybody in the fleet space right now. And customers like that because they want a vendor neutral solutions, because all of them want to try out different infrastructure, different charging stations, and they're looking for a neutral platform. So that's one. And then your second question on business model. So yes, you're right. We are at the very early stages in terms of refining the model. What we found is there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to build the model beyond just energy. For example, one of the things that we are doing now is, so we tie into every charging station and we get a notification every 1 minute. So we know exactly what status each station is on. And we are using that to turn that into a whole maintenance suite of services. So for example, if there's a problem at a station or a station has lost connectivity, we can send out a dispatch notification to a technician or somebody who can service this. And we are layering that on as a value-added service. So the basic service is energy management, but you can add maintenance. We've got reporting and insights, LCFS, which is all being layered on. So we're at the early stage where we believe that the more data and more time we get with the customers, we can turn that into a whole variety of value-added services beyond just energy. And so we are not tying ourselves specifically to just energy cost savings right now, because we believe there's a lot more opportunity to upsell beyond just energy. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Thanks. That's helpful. Maybe just one add-on question to the energy part. Do you see a world that you can monetize the energy that you have access to towards the utility, towards the energy market, to get their cost neutral, so that your customer doesn't have to pay for that energy part of your service?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So part of the challenge, and so we've got a few utilities that are partners and or utility subsidiaries that are partners. And one of the things that they made clear is they don't want anybody to get into the middle of the energy transaction between the utility and the end customer. Because the utility landscape in the US is that it's pretty captive. I mean, the utilities already have fleets as their customers, so there's nothing that we can bring to the table. Now, what utilities do want us to do is to help them manage and control the load. And so they're willing to pay us some monetary value if we can give them access, but they don't want us to be arbitraging energy, so buying and selling energy. But what they do want to do is pay for software that can help them control. So that's part one. And part two of the answer is, if the customer wants a solution like that, then we've got partnerships where we work with third parties who offer charging as a service. So for example, utilities themselves want to offer charging as a service, where infrastructure, energy management software is all packaged into one line item on your utility bill. And in that case, again, for the customer, the software will be quote unquote free because it comes from the utility, but it's part of their energy infrastructure. So to your point, yeah, I think we're still at the very early stages where there's a lot of business model experimentation. But one thing that we've stayed away from is buying and selling energy ourselves at this point.
Yeah, thank you.
So Muffi, I'm afraid we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But that was a really interesting presentation. Sounds like you're making great progress and a lot of traction at such an early stage. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Right.